Congressman Reed, thank you for joining us. Last time we talked about this, you were actually hunkered down in an office, if my memory serves me well here. You were very upset on January 6th of last year. What are your thoughts now?
I reflect on January 6th like many of my fellow Americans. That was a dark day in America's history. I never thought in my tenure in Congress or as an American citizen I would experience something like that occurring right there on the Capitol grounds. And I remember the details of that day. I had just left the floor of the House and was walking outside like I normally do to my office, and it was just surreal. And I sat there with tears, and I think I recall talking to you. It was emotional, it was trying, and it is something we should never repeat, and we should learn from.
Do you think there's a risk of something like this repeating? A lot of people see this and say our democracy is at risk. Do you see it that way?
I think we're such a polarized nation right now. We are so divided, and the silent majority is awakening, but hasn't awakened yet. And what I mean by that is the vocal minority represented by the extremes of the Republican Party as well as the Democratic Party, because the extremes are on both sides. I think it runs the risk that if we don't wake up as a silent majority to say we can be proud Republicans, we can be proud Democrats, we can disagree, but we cannot devolve to violence. And I think that is the risk we run if we don't recognize the lessons of January 6th. And it sure as heck could happen again.
There is no question there are extremists on both sides of the political spectrum. January 6th, according to law enforcement, had mainly to do with Trump supporters. Right now, I saw a CBS poll that came out this week that said roughly 50% of Republicans think what those who entered the U.S. Capitol were doing, they were demonstrating patriotism, defending freedom. What's your response to that?
I understand the viewpoint that they're trying to articulate, but I disagree with it. To go and storm the Capitol the way that happened on January 6th, that I lived, that I was there, is something that cannot happen in America, in a democracy such as ours. And so I disagree with those that feel this was, I think people have described it as a visit by tourists to the Capitol and things like that. That is not what happened on January 6th. January 6th was a group of individuals who thought that violence and that confronting going to the Capitol grounds was the right way to resolve their differences. And that is not the way we do it in America. And I will be part of efforts continuing past Congress to try to bring people together, try to engage in the debate, and say we cannot devolve to violence in any way whatsoever.
A lot of people have criticized one of your fellow Congress members, Liz Cheney, saying she just can't let go of the election and her stance on it. As you know, the election, a big part of what happened on January 6th. I'm wondering what you think of the possibility that she might respond to that saying, well, I'm not letting go because those like President Trump and his allies aren't letting go, and I can't let silence go up against that for fear their narrative might win the day.
I respect that. I know Liz, I know Adam personally. I served with them, and I respect that they are committed in their point of view in regards to not forgetting January 6th. I will disagree in regards to the January 6th commission. I was one of the 34 Republicans that voted for the bipartisan commission, but once it went down the partisan path, that's when I lost hope that there would be a true 9/11 type of inquisition to get to the bottom of it. And the bottom line now is I think we're seeing partisan politics at its worst when it comes to not only the commission, but each side using January 6th to a large degree to promote their extreme views on both the left and the right.
Do you think it's wrong, though, that Congresswoman Cheney continues to address this?
No, I respect that. I respect her position. She clearly is passionate on how she views January 6th, and we should all want to get to the bottom of it in the sense of, what caused people to think that you could take to the floor of the House and the floor of the Senate your dispute with the election results of that presidential election. That is a legitimate inquiry that needs to occur, but it needs to be done in an open and honest, bipartisan, transparent manner. And that's not what is occurring. So I respect how Liz has committed herself to this process, but I would just encourage her also be careful, because you may be part of partisan politics and you're not aware of it because you're so close to it.
My last question for you, has this been difficult for you to take the stand that you have on the election on January 6th when there are a significant number of people in your party, people who voted for you, who don't agree with you on this?
No, it's not difficult, because one of the things I'm comfortable in is I know who I am, I know what I believe in, and I'm willing to stand in front of anyone, supporters and those that disagree with me, and just tell them this is why I feel this way. And I will tell you, long term, that has served me well. And to those that reject my point of view and do it in a way that's not respectful, that's not civil, I say, hey, you can do that. That's your choice. But what I'm going to do is do what I can control. I'm going to try to disagree respectfully. I'm going to try to listen to the frustration, and I'm going to try to be part of the leadership that's necessary for us to get past January 6th in a way that we can unite as a country, as one America, as people that are passionate about their differences, but respect the fact that we live in a great country that allows us to have those differences in a peaceful way.
Anything else that you'd like to add, Congressman, that I might have missed?
You know, that what I look at from January 6th in particular is the dangers of extremism. Extremism is clearly here in America. And I will tell you, we have adversaries outside of America, China, others, that are occurring as we speak. And the more that we recognize that the enemy is not your fellow American, the adversary and the enemy are those outside of America who want to take down our way of life. And I will just tell you, that is something we need to awaken to, because if we don't unite to tackle that obstacle before it occurs, I'm afraid that crisis is going to have to occur before the nation wakes up again.
How does that happen before crisis? With social media, with various companies and people that are working diligently with lots of resources to divide the country?
Leadership. It all boils down to leadership. Being willing to challenge the extremes on the left and the right, not accepting the political correctness that often causes people to shy away from speaking and for stepping forward. And so I would just say leadership is how you avoid having us to deal with this through a crisis moment and overcome it prior to the crisis occurring.